Welcome back to another episode of the Conscious Energy Officer Show. I'm your host, Grant Parr, with my co-host, Grant Betchart and John Costanzo. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, Grant? What's up, John? Welcome,
Wow.
everybody. And all you amazing police officers, thank you for joining. We do this show for you. And you'll kind of notice a theme at this point, how we do it, right? We're max conscious and we create conscious energy officers. But we have a series of mental skills that we work on all the time. You know, John shares a story with us or gives us a topic of the day, and then we run it through our skills. And the four foundational skills I'll always introduce when we start. The first one is what's important now. And that means focusing on what's in your control. So often in life, we're trying to control things outside of our control, and that derails all of your focus, all of your confidence, all of your power, all of your ability to actually de-escalate a situation. All of that gets thrown out the window if we focus on the wrong things. So you'll see us always referencing what's important now and what's in our control, because we want to focus on what's in our control and let everything else go. And our second skill is what we call plain present, or in this case, police present. And in fact, I think this might be our topic of the day. And being present means we literally are where we are. So right now, as you're listening to this show or watching it, really lock in right now. We all have stuff to do later. There's a whole bunch of shit that happened earlier. But we got to be here right now. And we say, be where your feet are, right? Or find your breath, be here in the moment. So we want to learn to play present and practice that. That's our second skill. And then our third skill is next play speed. And that means that being present is hard sometimes. We lose our focus all the time, right? You might rush to a result or rush to something that you think might happen in the future. Next play speed means come back to the present, come back to where you are. Don't get ahead of yourself. No reliving, no pre-living. When it's time to perform, we got to be in the present. So next play speed brings us back. And we're not saying it's not okay to plan and reflect, but when it's time to perform, that's the wrong time for those things, right? We have to be present. So next play speed brings us back. And it's the grittiness. It's your willingness to keep coming back to the present. It's a very powerful skill. And our fourth skill is what we call palms down. This is about choosing your response. There's a universal reaction when shit happens that's outside of our control. People do this shit, whether it's police officers, cops, athletes, lawyers, surgeons, doctors, school teachers, myself, anybody, right? But choosing your response means I'm conscious, I'm aware, and I recognize no matter how much emotion I'm feeling, I can choose my response. Got these two surfboards behind me, right? They're kind of an analogy. We got to learn to ride the waves of the day. We got to learn to ride the emotions, and every day's different. Some days you're going to have big waves, some days smaller waves, some moments bigger, some other moments smaller. But we learn to find our harmony and balance with our palms down, choosing our response approach. So you'll hear us talking about those four skills. And, you know, mental skills are like any other skill. It takes practice. You're not just going to tune into the show for 30 minutes and master this stuff, right? That's why we built this company called Max Conscious to do these trainings with you. So remember, it's a practice every day, but we're here to help you become aware. And then after you're aware, we want you to get the reps in practicing. And then as you start to have experience, this will set in on a deep level for you. So that's us. And now I'm going to swing it over to John, who's going to introduce what we're talking about today, and we'll just carry the show forward.
What's going on, guys? Good evening. You know, this is not early in the day for me, but it's all good. I feel like I'm more awake because I'm a night owl. You know,
all right.
Awake. I do the morning shift, but it's just not my thing. You know. But today we're going to talk about the power of being present. Like, we've talked about being present before, and just like, you know, you talked just a minute ago, just be here in this moment, right? Yeah. This is the moment that we can control here in this moment for ourselves. And, you know, a lot of times we get too far ahead or too far behind. And so the whole point of bringing up the power of being present is when you are fully present, the things that you experience when you're fully present. And I think it's important to share, because this is a huge skill that I think a lot of people really lack, you know, because of our cell phones. It's very easy to get distracted, very easy to get pulled into the past or the future. But really, we know that this is the moment. So yeah, I just wanted to, I'll start it off, and then, you know, you guys can share some stories too. Cool. For me, with the power of being present on the job, it's very important. You know, a lot of times we're dealing with situations where we're under pressure, where we could be in danger, people say, and I use this analogy all the time, they say, stay safe. We know that's not really a thing. We're not in control of our safety. Someone could come up at any moment and put us in danger. So I say, stay present. And the reason I say that is because what I've experienced from being present on the job, you see things right when they're happening. Nothing's really surprising you when you're fully present, at least from my experience. I see it coming. It's like it's the weirdest thing, but you're so fully present, you feel the energy coming your way, and you're able to react quickly. And that's just one of the many things that I've experienced. But I guess the story I'm going to share today is with my homeless guys that I meet, every morning. I just show up and I'm very present with them, and I'll greet people with them. It's an amazing experience. It's very the way they describe it is it's a calming presence that I bring. They're always looking forward to seeing me every morning. Like, they get excited. We've talked before. They'll defend me when people are thinking I'm picking on them, and it's just a really cool experience just to be in that moment. Life's going on around you, but you lock into that moment, and you really feel the energy. You feel the energy of the people around you. You feel the energy of the people passing by, and it really, like Grant said, it slows time down. People say life's short. It's really not. Be present. It really pulls it back. So those are just some of my short experiences. But what about you guys?
Man, I'll kick us off here. I think you said a few things that are super powerful. And if we're in a place where there's results on the line, and clearly being a police officer, right, there's a lot on the line. There's big stakes a lot of times. Life and death is there. And if you're not present, you're in big trouble, right? You're in, because you're not going to see what's right in front of you, and you're going to miss signs and cues and things that are happening in the now, because maybe you're really concerned about the future and how's it going to play out, but you're not really here. So, John, I think one of the things that's really important that you said is that you see better when you're present. Like you can see what's happening. And Grant and I have worked with thousands of athletes, and it's amazing that the athletes that are most present, oftentimes they're the most successful, because they can see better. They can see advantages. They can see opportunities because they're not caught up in their fear. They're not caught up in trauma from the past, right? Or something like that. Like they're really here breathing. And I think you mentioned it, as you're more present you are, you can kind of read energy.
Yep.
So maybe you have a couple of folks who are around you and you start to sense someone's agitated, right? Or you can sense, and you as an officer, when you're present, you can read that. And you can read that before maybe it gets to a physical confrontation. You can read the energy quickly and then kind of work with that, and be able to do that. So being present is key for success. It's paramount for it, because without it, we're going to miss cues. People that have gotten into car accidents or other things like that. It's funny, not funny, but like they're focused, but most of the time they're not focused on the right things, right? So you're always focused, but it just may not be on the most important things. So channeling your focus to the present takes intention. It takes practice. Because I don't know about you guys, I got into all of this mental training because I was so shitty at being present, and I was so awful at it. I was so anxious, so worried in life. I was everywhere except for here. And then I got introduced to the power of the present, and I was like, holy shit, I didn't even know about that. And then I started practicing being here more often. And a couple things that really help you be present: use your eyes. What do I see right here in real time, right? What do your eyes see right now? Oftentimes when we're not present, we stop seeing what's in front of us. Like we literally don't see. And then another great anchor for you, another great tool to help you be present is your breath. Most of us were probably not even aware we were breathing before I said breath, before I said that word. But if you can focus on your breath and you can allow it to kind of get you centered and get you grounded, your breath is happening right now. That sentence is always true. So if we can tune in to our breath, to the now, we have it's just another tool to bring you into the present. And doesn't mean using your eyes and breathing automatically just makes you in the zone right here, but it gives you tools, right? I remind myself, oh shit, see what's here, like what's here. Maybe my mind is like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Is this going to work? And I just go, bring it back to what you see and be here. And then start trusting your training in whatever field you're in. Trust your training. But if you're not present, it's like it becomes very difficult to see reality a lot of times, right? Because you're not even really here. And I think that's when things get dangerous.
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of times.
Big
John,
time.
have you found anything that like helps you be present? Have you found any kind of things that help you tune into that?
Well, I think my curiosity really
Yeah.
tunes me into the present, because I can go and run the same route every day. I can get stuck in a routine. It's easy in our line of work to get in the same routine, which is, it's not good, right? So what I like to do is break up the routine. I'll break up the routine. But hit me with your question one more time.
Just are there any things that help you kind of be present? Like you get
Right,
a call, right? Lights and sirens are on, right? You're on your way there. What are some things that kind of help you not check out, right, and get into like results of the future, or I'm bringing up some past shit? How do you kind of keep yourself grounded?
Well, I think it's kind of, I look at it like the tortoise. If you just smoke through, that's when danger happens. You're missing a lot. And I work with the dogs, and he's scent driven. So he's searching for things with his nose, and he's so fast that I have to kind of hold him back a little bit. Right.
Okay.
And so what happens is he'll go so fast that he'll blow past what he was searching for.
Oh, wow.
And so for me, I've realized, slow it down. That's where palms down really comes in, and really just enjoy this moment, right? Because every moment is different. And so when you just speed through it, yeah, life is short, like Grant said before, but I really just slow it down. I mean, I bring it down to each intersection. I'll look for details to stay present. What am I smelling? What am I seeing? Because it's never the same. It can look the same if you're speeding by, right? When you're speeding and driving a car, everything just gets, the lights are just smoking by. You're not really seeing details. You're just seeing lights, right? But when you slow it down a little bit, because you're talking seconds, and you know what? Seconds could be life or death, but it could also be your life or death,
Right?
Or somebody jaywalking across the street, not paying attention with their headphones in. Somebody driving through an intersection doesn't hear you coming. I mean, it's tough. You really have to you really have to pull back a little bit, and just, when that energy wants to escalate, like we've talked about before, the call goes out, it hypes you up. The nature of the call goes out. I mean, the tone of their voice hypes you up. All these things hype you up. You got to really palms down and bring yourself down, connect with the moment, take each intersection, and really just break it down. Don't try to start processing the scene before you're even there. It's nice to think like, oh yeah, what am I going to do? And kind of place yourself in that. But reality is, you get there, it's not what it was called out. So now you're having to redo it anyways,
Right.
Wow. It's almost like if we can slow down a little bit, and you mentioned like using our senses. Sometimes we'll tell people like literally stop and smell the roses. Like if you can smell something that's happening now, right? If you can start to, like you said, you're not already anticipating the scene. You're like, no, I'm driving my car right now. I should be paying attention to what's going on driving, not already thinking, okay, when I'm on scene, then this is going to happen, then that's way in the future. And if we bring it back to the present, you're driving there, and you got to check the intersection you're going through, and bring your focus to that, and not just be checked out and somewhere else, or else, like you said, you might be causing even more of a dangerous situation by not being present, right? Because there could be a jaywalker or someone there. So I think it's important to just really coming back to the task at hand and
Yeah.
not getting ahead of ourselves. You
Yep.
know, even if you know there's this big call, you're like, okay, there's this thing happening on scene, that you're still not there yet. And until you get there, you got to be where you are.
Yep.
And that does take a lot of discipline, though, you know, especially if you hear there's probably like an intense call or something, you know, an elevated call where, you know, there's some danger or something's happening. It's probably human nature to think about that and kind of put yourself in there. But you
Oh,
got to,
absolutely.
with the mental skills, right? You got to come back. There's the
Yeah,
next play speed. Like, wait, come back.
it's very easy to start processing it before you even get there, because sometimes you will get a lot of details, but at the same time, you know, people are so focused on processing it before they get there, and what they didn't realize is they just put themselves in a dangerous position because they weren't focused and they weren't present. You know,
That's right.
just because someone says, oh, they're in this, let's just say, let's use a domestic violence call, right? They're in this house, right? Who says by the time you get there, they're still in the house? What if they're waiting for you outside? So cops are taught to pull before they get to the house, right? And then walk up to the house, because there's been too many times in a domestic case where a cop pulls up right in front of the house because they were just trying to speed to get there, and then the cop gets injured or even worse. So it's so important to really drive that energy down, focus on each intersection, understand, like, okay, this person, the man with a gun, woman with a gun, that's serious, right? But you have to stay locked into the moment.
Yeah.
And it's easy for that to draw at you, because it's like, this is my life on the line, you know?
Totally.
Yeah, those stakes get elevated, and all of a sudden your brain wants to go to the future and make it all okay. And like you said, if you don't come back to the present, you might park in front of that house and forgetting your training that you were supposed to park in another place because you were kind of checked out. And that's when the accidents like that happen.
Absolutely.
You know, when we feel sped up, we feel in a hurry. We didn't mention it, but one of our skills is called walk to win, and that's our 8th principle. And walk to win is all about slowing your pace when it feels like, I got to go. It's like, no, I don't. Palms down. Let's slow the pace down so I don't miss anything here, you know, and really be tuned in. I think that's super powerful, John. And I think that's why policing present is really important. You know,
Yeah, I throw out with walk to win, lethal patience.
Yeah.
That's huge. And that cops can connect with that, right? Because you're talking about patience. People in America they're not patient. Let's be real.
No,
they're honking the horn after the light turns green for a second. It's like, there's no patience. Everyone's speeding through life. It's like, no, slow it down. Slow it down. And, you know, slow your voice down, you know, lower your tone. It really drives that energy down. You could even, you know, sometimes I'll do it to myself. I'll just physically do palms down, and I'll just say, I'll slow my voice down, say, oh, palms down.
Yeah.
You know, it really starts to drive you down, and then you're like, oh, I'm in control, right? Because we've talked about this before. You get to a scene and you're not in control, you're already starting off wrong. You're already starting off way wrong, and it's going to get out of hand if you don't get that inner control.
Well, hey, I know we for everyone, this is a quick show today. We were going to get in, get out, but here's the deal with being present. I always ask people, well, when do you practice being present? You know, and the answer is right now.
Right now.
So whatever you're doing right now, this isn't like you just practice when you're an officer, right? That's when we work with athletes. You don't just practice it in your sport. You do this all the time in life, in your relationships, with your children, with your parents, with your significant others, like in all the interactions you go through the day. This is a great time to practice being present. No one's perfect at this. I'm not perfect. Grant isn't. John isn't. I don't know anyone who is. But we set our intention to practice this and get better. And you can see where play present, then next play speed and palms down, right? They help us respond in the moment and kind of regain our focus and come back to our center. Walking to win helps us a lot with that. So I want everyone to work on practicing being present, not just when you're doing the great police work, but when you're living the human experience and all the other aspects in your life, right? These are life skills that, yes, we're using under immense pressure to do an amazing job, but you got to practice this all the time. You can't just turn it on when you're a cop, right? Doesn't work like that. Like same with athletes. You can't just turn it on. You got to practice in everything you're doing. So I want to encourage everyone to practice being present. Feel your feet on the ground, find your breath, smell the roses, right? Use your senses to get here in the now and really see what that does for your life. Notice how people respond to you the more present you are. Notice how your significant other or your family or your children, they feel it when you're present. They also feel it when you're not fucking present. And everyone knows when someone is checked out, and no one likes to be connected to that person.
Right.
So practice being present. G Money, we didn't even give you a chance to talk today, man.
Hey, man, it's good.
Okay.
I'll share my love next week.
Okay, beautiful. Well, listen, everyone, practice being present. Thanks for tuning into the Conscious Energy Officer Show. Remember, you are a CEO, you are a Conscious Energy Officer, and it's up to each one of us to own these mental skills. So practice this stuff. We'll look forward to tuning in with you again next week. John, great job today. Grant, great job today. And for everyone listening, thank you for your great work, your great service, and we're happy to serve you in return. We love doing this work. So thank you, everybody.